Welcome to English Stories by Manvi Sharma, where simple stories create powerful lessons. Hello, everyone, and welcome back. Today, I am going to share a very meaningful and heart-touching story with you. Section 1. A Life of Complaints. The Boy Who Had Everything. Today's story is called The Child Who Complained About Everything. It is a story that teaches us the importance of gratitude and how being thankful can bring true happiness. Okay, let's dive right into this. Our story starts with a boy named Aryan. He really had everything a child could possibly ask for: a deeply loving family, a good, comfortable home, and literally all the everyday things he truly needed to be safe and secure. But there was a catch. Despite all these absolutely wonderful privileges, he was never happy. Every single day, without fail, he complained. No matter what he had, it was just never enough for his expectations. He'd sigh heavily, cross his arms, and say things like, "Ugh, the food is boring." Or he'd look at his screen and groan, "My phone is so old." Sometimes he'd look around his perfectly good space and complain, "My room is way too small." He simply couldn't see the abundance that was right in front of him. His parents gently tried to explain things to him. They would sit him down and say, "Be thankful for what you have, Aryan." But he just wouldn't listen. Instead, he constantly compared himself with everyone else around him. He'd look at other kids and say, "Well, if they have more, why can't I?" Slowly, his complaining didn't just happen occasionally. It became this deep-seated, everyday habit. And because of this attitude, his happiness just started disappearing altogether. Section 2. The Father's Idea. A Trip to the Village. Seeing his son's joy fading, Aryan's father decided it was time to step in with a totally different approach. One day, his father took him on a trip to visit a small, rural village. Of course, Aryan didn't want to go. He complained the whole way there. "This place is so simple," he grumbled. "Why are we even here?" But his father didn't argue or get upset. He simply looked at Aryan, smiled calmly, and gave him one brief instruction: just observe. Section 3. The Simple Village. A Different Way of Living. So Aryan quieted down and actually started to pay attention. As he walked through the dusty paths of the village, he saw a boy who was just about his own age. And what he saw began to change his perspective entirely. The village boy wore very simple, worn clothes. He had no phone in his hand, no fancy toys, no modern gadgets that Aryan was so completely used to. But he was smiling. He was laughing joyfully with his family. He was playing happily outside in the absolute simplest of ways. It was a completely different way of living, one stripped of luxury, but entirely full of life. That night, Aryan watched closely as the boy's family sat down to eat. They shared very simple, basic food together, nothing like the elaborate meals Aryan was used to at home. But the village boy looked down at his plate with pure joy and contentment, and he said, "This is my favorite meal." Aryan was completely surprised by this warmth and appreciation. Section 4. A Quiet Realization. A Sleepless Night. Later that evening, the deep quiet of the village settled in. But Aryan couldn't sleep. He lay awake in the dark, tossing and turning, his mind just racing as he kept thinking about the village boy. In the stillness of the room, one powerful question kept repeating in his mind: how can he be so happy with so little? Lying there, he finally understood something incredibly profound. He looked at his own life, realizing he had more than enough, but he had never once appreciated it. Then he thought of the village boy. The boy had very little material wealth, but he was immensely grateful. And that deep sense of gratitude was exactly what made him so incredibly happy. Section 5. The Power of Gratitude. A Change of Heart. The next morning, as the sun came up over the village, Aryan woke up quietly. Something fundamental inside him had shifted. For the very first time in a long time, he didn't utter a single complaint. Instead, he just smiled. On the long journey back home, Aryan turned to his father, the realization clear and bright in his eyes. He said, "I understand now. Happiness is not about having more. It's about being thankful." Hearing this, his father smiled proudly. The trip had worked. From that day forward, Aryan truly changed. He started appreciating the small things. He was grateful for the warm food on his plate. He was thankful for the comforting presence of his family. He started cherishing quiet, simple moments. He complained far less, and he smiled a lot more. He transformed because he finally understood one simple, powerful truth that we can all learn from. Gratitude brings happiness. Don't complain about what you don't have. Be thankful for what you do have.